Look, Barrett, yesterday, I know sometimes, PFF stats, we can kind of like throw them out the window, but let me just hit you with this. So, Eagles rankings: pass offense 1, pass blocking offense 1, overall defense 1, overall team 1, according to PFF.
Come on, man.
In every one of those categories, that's where they ranked yesterday.
Wow.
All right, we are back. Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network on this Monday. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis, cranking it out after a big Eagles win over Washington, 24-8. Could have been a lot more. It was 24-0 at the half. It's very rare that I can remember, even going back to the year when they won the Super Bowl, when there weren't too many games where you felt like you could just put your feet up in the third or fourth quarter and just say, this thing's over. Like, I'm always, having grown up in Philadelphia, you're waiting for the safe to fall on your head as you walk down the street, right?
This feels different, though.
Yeah, I mean, this is 2 straight games where I really didn't feel like the opponent was coming back on them. I honestly didn't feel like that, late third, early fourth. And I hate doing that, but I did feel that way.
Well,
why, Rob? Why, Rob?
The combination of the way the Eagles were playing, dominating, and the opponent. I just felt like maybe the Eagles are getting in the opponent's head a little bit. Like, I don't think Washington's very good, but I thought the Vikings were better than they had showed the week before. But even the best,
they pulled it out this week. They pulled it out this week.
They did come back and win. They beat Detroit. Yeah, they're 2-1. They didn't play great. Justin Jefferson's been shut down 2 straight weeks, which we'll get into a little bit later. That's hard to fathom. But I don't know. I mean, I'm just pointing at the rarity in that it was that kind of game. I felt like the Eagles defense was humming so much. I felt like Wentz had no answers, whatsoever. And I felt like if the Eagles offense needed to rev that thing back up, they could have very easily.
I like the fact that we can go back and we can breathe a sigh of relief. Going in from halftime, you can go back and have you a couple and not worry about this team not functioning at a high capacity anymore. They're always playing at the top of their game. And when they're not, they still look like they're not some bumbling idiots out there.
Mm-hmm.
They stay in on the right track. They don't, it's not like they're just, they just can't do anything wrong. But what it is fundamentally they're doing the right things. And that's the biggest thing. Yep. This team is very fundamentally sound. They cross their T's, they dot their I's. So they don't get they don't get really pushed away from being what they do for the norm. So I think that's the biggest thing that I have comfort in, is that they're gonna do things right. Like, for instance, them knowing that catch that what's his name?
Devontae
had.
Yeah, yep.
That it might not be a good catch, but instantly they were at the line and had a play to go out there and play. Just like when they were down there on the 4th down, 3rd down didn't work. They had a play ready right then and there. Bam, got up on the line and had ran a play and didn't, and to go into halftime and scored. You look at what happened with Tampa Bay. They didn't have a 2-point play. But the Eagles had a play right after that play. They didn't go back to the huddle. They went straight back to the line and ran a play to win it. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Smitty wasn't open, but he went up there and got it.
Yeah,
that's the comfort level he has as receivers. But being prepared like that's what I'm talking about. They're prepared. They're ready to play.
Barrett, how about the poise? And this is part of what you're saying, being ready and prepared. How about the poise as the clock's running down at the end of the second quarter? Jalen didn't panic. Nick even said he's the one who called the play. Right,
that's
there.
What I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It was just smooth, man. They're ready. Yeah, you're right, man. They are ready to play these games. There's no question.
How many teams weren't ready? In fact, I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at the play right now.
How about the Bills? The Bills run a play where the guy doesn't get out of bounds. That's the Bills who we've been lauding, and rightfully so, nonstop.
And by the way, when I said that it didn't matter who the Eagles played last week, the way they prepared, they would have beat the Bills too. Everybody laughed and skulked at me too. I'm just telling you, once you get to a point where you feel as though you're the hardest team that you play against, all the other teams become easier.
Yeah.
You go out there with a different sense, a different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this Eagles team is starting to have that mindset. I mean, he called the play. It's 2 seconds. There was 2 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah.
He had the play in mind, called it, and ran it. Called it and ran it. To me,
You
that's
wouldn't have
big
time.
time.
You couldn't have gotten the field goal unit out there. I mean, it
Nope.
was just smart. Nick said we were going for it no matter what in that spot, and to be able to pull it off. Yeah, you're right. 2 great examples, Barrett. So Tampa, and I know Tampa's got they're just pulling guys off the street at this point. It's unbelievable. But they get down there and Brady leads them down. They score. They're lining up for a 2-point conversion. He's got to tell the guy you're on the wrong side. And then all of a sudden the play clock expires. You can see Brady this is like high school crap that he's dealing with. There's that, and then the Bills. Allen, makes a pretty amazing play just to be able to advance the ball to the guy, but he's got to recognize to get out of bounds, and he doesn't, and they run out of time. So there's 2 quality, potentially Super Bowl type teams making 2 really, sort of boneheaded kind of stuff happening. Meanwhile, the Eagles are just chill, just getting it done. I mean, they're a different looking team, man.
Rivero didn't even throw the.
He couldn't get it out quick enough. That's terrible coaching.
Terrible. That's what I'm saying. That's terrible. You didn't throw the flag. I mean, you got to throw that flag anyways.
No matter
anyways.
what, you're getting your ass kicked. You have nothing to lose throwing the flag.
You got to throw it, and he didn't.
Yeah, I know. It's unbelievable. Well, let's stay on the offense for a minute here, Barrett. So Hurts, 22 of 35, 340 yards, almost 10 yards per completion, 3 touchdowns, no picks, by the way. And the one last week was not his fault. So he is absolutely taking care of the football as far as that goes. 123.5 passer rating and an 85.8 QB rating. He is playing. Barrett, the week 3 leaders in QB rating. Guess who's number 1? Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has a better QBR than Lamar Jackson. Lamar's was only 84 yesterday, and Lamar went crazy in his game. Okay, so 85.8. Everything is slowed down. He's in that mode now where he's starting to everything's starting to come now up here physically. He's comfortable in the system. You're seeing it across the board here with the way that Jalen is playing.
And by the way, he doesn't have a strong enough arm. I remember I was going back and forth with somebody on the stream about his arm strength. Oh, he doesn't have the arm. He can't throw the deep ball. His arm is weak. He doesn't have any oomph on his passes. No, he has all that. He just needed some people to throw to.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. You throwing to Jalen regular. I mean, come on. I mean, seriously. Seriously. You just didn't have enough last year. And also puts in perspective how terrible we were 2 years ago. How bad were we 2 years ago?
Yeah, Barrett. It's an amazing point because you think about this. You still had Carson Wentz here, and it was really going sideways. You had Doug here, and again, we know what Doug did, and amazing, and what he's doing now, which we'll get into. But you had a coach and a quarterback. You had a team that looked bereft of talent at the receiver. Remember, you were old. You had Deshaun Jackson again, and he's hurt all the time.
Alshon Jeffrey.
And all of that, you didn't have to tear it down and pull a Sixers where you're into the process. Or you didn't have to be awful, like certain teams have been to try and get Howie was able to flip this thing and do it on the fly and get it right with the coach, with the quarterback, and then get yourself out of some of the cap issues to be able to go out and get Hassan Reddick and get Bradbury and make the trade for A.J. Brown and accumulate first-round picks. You have 2 first-round picks for next year, too. It is a remarkable 2.5, 3-year turnaround with the GM's been able to do.
Bro, we were so bad, man. Carson Wentz, he pulled his way out of. I'm totally good with that. But during the time, I'm like, there's no way we're going to leave a cap hit of $34 million just sitting there and him not be there. There's no way it happened. And what happens? We do it. We go in a totally different direction. We saw how raw and uncut Jalen Hurts was.
Right.
But they stayed behind him. They backed him up. And I can remember the Green Bay game 2 years ago where they had to bench Carson.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes in and he almost leads them back. The next week, he starts. Do you think that Carson gave him anything to help him out? Absolutely not.
No.
Never helped him at all. Probably never
No.
even talked to him.
No. Yeah, I don't. I think that he. Look, you're always going to appreciate Carson for contributing to winning a Super Bowl, and you never forget that, right?
Yeah, we're not going to, I mean, he was a major part of why we were able to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that 13-game period, he played masterfully,
incredible. But the way it ended, and the way with some of the things that we heard, in particular about being difficult to coach, to me, and even in some points, like not even listening to what the play call was and audibling out of it because of what, like all that stuff was insubordination. Yeah. And then on top of it, I won out. He pulled a Ben Simmons, and and that bad taste has not left my mouth, man. Like I'm sorry. And I didn't have Gunnar said earlier, like he felt bad for him. I didn't have an ounce of sympathy for him. I really didn't. I really did.
He just wanted to just keep getting killed. Huh?
No, I don't care. I wasn't looking for him to get killed. I just wanted the Eagles to put it on them. And if that meant he was the brunt of all of that, okay, so what? Because
I'll put in your Rocky perspective. I'll put in your Rocky perspective.
Yeah.
And if he dies.
He dies. Yeah, the Eagles dragoed him yesterday, is what they did. And he was Apollo Creed. Rest in peace, Apollo. You know what I mean? But no, I also saw Barrett, a player. Now, and I don't want to harp on Wentz. It's more about an Eagles celebration. But
right. Well, no, but we got to talk about Wentz, man.
No, I know. But I mean, I saw a guy who who hasn't improved his game, nope. and doesn't appear to want to either. Like he's the same dude, patting the ball, no awareness, no clock, no interior clock. No feel around him that quarterbacks have to have in that league, or you can't survive.
We're talking about no awareness, like I was saying, I was just joking around.
Yeah.
But if you have a defensive end run the hump, you think he's going to stop rushing because he ran the hump? Like just magically just going to stop? No, he's going to keep rushing. He's going to keep going around the corner, and bam, he hits him for a sack.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. The guys just don't disappear. They keep rushing you. You cannot sit there and pat the ball. I hated playing for quarterbacks like that.
Right.
I played with Bobby Hoying. He was the same exact way.
Mm-hmm.
But Bobby didn't have happy feet. Bobby would just sit there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He would just sit there and wouldn't throw the ball. At least Carson moves around a little bit. Bobby just was like, I never understood that. Mm-hmm. And they didn't have any help. We had Dana Bible as our offensive coordinator before Bill Musgrave came in, who was on a squad the year before, and he became our offensive coordinator like halfway through the season.
That's crazy. Like in and of itself, that's crazy. But here's the thing, Barrett, that I'm really encouraged about, because we talked. Look, the biggest thing for me was, can this team get better at getting after the quarterback?
Yes.
Okay. And you made a lot of moves to do that. So yesterday, of the 9 sacks, 7 of them was a 4-man rush.
Yes.
Like, so you won the battle. And I know Washington's line isn't great. Whatever. I mean, you won the battle 7 times yesterday without even having to send extra pressure. That, like, if you're a defensive coordinator, you're drooling over that.
No question. And it was more so than anything. They wanted to beat up on Carson Wentz. They wanted to go out there and have a great game against him. You could tell by the effort and enthusiasm in which they played. They wanted to get after Carson Wentz. Fletch played so inspired. He was whooping whoever's in front. It didn't matter who was in front of him. Mm-hmm. He was just whooping who was out in front of him. And Hargrave wanted to start getting the party also.
Yeah.
He started whooping some tail.
Yeah. He looked like early season Hargrave last year.
Exactly. So this team has turned the corner because they understand what it is to play at this level, and they like it.
Yeah.
So since they're like it, they're going to keep doing these things to make sure that they stay at this level.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's where I'm not worried about this team faltering.
Yeah, that's where the bar's set now.
The bar is set. They know what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
They've been there. Now they just got to stay there.
Here's what I love too, Barrett. So after the game, okay, Miles Sanders said this. Brandon Graham said this. Nick Sirianni said this. Yeah, we're thrilled we won it, but we were 5 for 15 on third down, but we didn't score any points in the second half. Like nobody there sniffing themselves. We're celebrating them today. They weren't throwing a parade for themselves after the win. They were happy they won, but they weren't. They know what the deal is.
They still talking about this meat on the bone. There's so much meat on the bone. Like just like that pass. It was a holding call on the DB.
Yeah.
But if he didn't hold him, that's Quez Watkins going for another 60-yard bomb.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? If he didn't hold him, he was gone. Gone. And you can't just look past those type of things. They see them too.
Yeah.
If this guy didn't hold you, that'd have been another 60 yards on top of the 300-something yards that Carson already. Went. Damn, I want to talk bad about him so bad. No, that Hurts had.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about him going out there and executing. He's throwing guys open. The passes he was throwing to AJ Brown, he was throwing them open. Yeah. Man to man, he's throwing guys open. So I don't want to hear anything about he can just throw to passes in zone play where guys sit down. No, he was throwing guys open. AJ Brown, he threw Smitty open. He did whatever he needed to do to win this game. Even though he had a lot of pressure too.
No, you're right, and that's part of the maturation. He's willing to throw a touch pass now. He's willing to work the middle of the field now. He's willing to throw guys open now. He's like not always just rolling to his right. Calcaterra on the 41-yard or whatever it ended up being.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. I mean, I just think of the diversity in the way that this offense can take you apart. I mean, deep threat with Watkins, underneath stuff with and slants with AJ Brown, Devontae Smith everywhere.
Yes.
Goddard on what he's able to do. There are so many options in this passing game that's got to make this team so hard to game plan for and defend. I mean, it's remarkable. It really is. I mean, we haven't even really gotten into Devontae Smith. So Barrett, 8 catches, $169, more than 21 per catch, and a touchdown, and some brilliant catch. I mean, the one that he catches, on the one and in the second quarter where he went down hard.
Oh yeah. Woo! Right there on the one. Oh yeah, he went down hard, and just talking about that, the way he went up, high pointed the ball, brought it into his body, and didn't try to put any of his arms down or anything. He landed flat down on the turf. I mean, he went and got it, and knew he was going to hit the ground hard as hell because he was high.
Yeah,
and still kept the ball. Most guys would try to catch it and then put their arms down. He didn't even care. He wanted to make sure he secured the catch first. It hit the ground. You know what I'm saying? That's him giving up his body to make that play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He gave up his body to make that play.
You could just see first of all, he has brilliant hands. Everything's about the catch, and he's not worried about anything else. And he is a smaller guy, but he's wiry. He's tough. He was feeling it after that, but he stayed in there. He ends up making the catch to close the half out on another ball. That was a really hard catch.
But he was covered. He was not open.
Yeah.
He was covered and went and high pointed the ball there too for the touchdown.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Man.
Unbelievable. And then, we haven't even really talked about AJ Brown. 5 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown where he's dragging dudes. And that's 17 yards per catch. That's nothing to sneeze at. But because Devontae went so crazy, we're just kind of like ho-hum with AJ Brown. You would have killed to have that kind of guy. The last 5-10 years.
Wow. And I love how enthusiastic they are as a unit. Everybody's picking everybody up. You have a bad play. I mean, I could cry about some stuff. I could cry, all right, they didn't run the ball consistently enough. I could say that, but they didn't want to do it. They wanted to throw the ball.
Yeah.
They can do that. They have that luxury now. But when push comes to shove, when they have to run the ball, I'm totally aware that they can do it.
I agree with you.
They can definitely do it.
Look, Barrett, yesterday, I know sometimes, PFF stats, we can kind of throw them out the window, but let me just hit you with this. So Eagles rankings, pass offense 1, pass blocking offense 1, overall defense 1, overall team 1, according to PFF.
Come on, man.
In every one of those categories, that's where they ranked yesterday.
Wow.
That's why I think the score is so misleading. That easily is like a 41-8 kind of game. Had they taken the same approach in the second. I mean, you look at Jalen in the first half, Barrett, 279 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 137.7 passer rating. That's in the first half. It's not the game. So
I'd have took that from him last year.
In a second,
I'd have took some stats for an entire game last year.
You ready for this? Wentz first half, 17 first half pass plays, 3 completions, 7 incompletions, 6 sacks, a fumble, and a minus 16 net yards. I mean, need I say more? This was total destruction in the first half to the point where it was 24-0.
And it would have been more than that. I mean, talking about it was like another 50-yarder that the DB just made a great play on. It was Devontae. And it was actually pass interference because the guy didn't turn around and his hands were up in his arms, pulling his arms down, and he didn't compete for it. It should have been a flag. Mm-hmm. But they didn't throw the flag. But I mean, these are the type of things that we just didn't see. I mean, them being able to do. I cannot believe how bad we were, man. I'm still thinking about that. We were atrocious, and we didn't even know it. You know, even last year, you look at what we did in the second half of last year. We were just scratching the surface on how good the offense could be. Mm-hmm. But then defensively, all he kept saying is, well, he didn't have his players that he needed. Well, they got the players, and he's living up to the bill. Yeah. He's doing exactly what he said he could do.
That's right.
With those guys.
I think it's a combination of he's just gotten better. He's in a system for the second straight year. He's comfortable with Steichen and Sirianni.
Absolutely.
And this is not a knock on Jalen. Any quarterback needs good players. You got him A.J. Brown. You know, you got him an absolute monster. And Devontae Smith is that much better in his second year.
How did they get A.J. Brown?
I don't know.
In the draft.
I don't know.
No, seriously, think about that. When you really contemplate that, how in the world did they get a number one receiver that just happened to be his best friend?
Who's 24.
Yeah, 24. Usually when you get somebody like
guys
that,
at the end, you get him when you're 31, and you're like, all right, can you milk can you get a year out of him?
Right.
It's incredible.
Young guy. He brought in young, talented players.
Yeah. No, like Hassan Reddick's young. Kaiser White's young. Bradbury's kind of middle-aged. Nobody's old that they brought in who could have a major impact on this team, you know, and again, there's just a lot of different ways that they can cut you. They can cut you a lot of different ways. And they did it yesterday without Jalen running all over them, which was one of the knocks. The only way he has success is if he runs. Not really. He beat his arm yesterday. Or they can only have success if they run the ball. They didn't run it great yesterday. Okay. It's pick your poison.
Yes. Just to put things in perspective, and I don't know how this would have went, but we had 3 first-round draft picks that we could have divvied up to go out and get any quarterback we wanted. What if we went and got Watson? What if?
I know.
What if we would have Russell Wilson? What if?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Number one, we'd have been over the cap. Wouldn't have been to sign the guys that we have right now.
You wouldn't have A.J. Brown.
You wouldn't have A.J. No, exactly.
Any of these guys, really. Davis,
you know, who showed him the second play of the game that he can play. He just needs to be more consistent. We got some things. We got a lot of work still to do. They have a lot of stuff that they can get better at. But man, from what we're seeing right now, you know,
it's only the third game. You know what I mean? Some people will say, calm down. They're not this great. It's only the third game. That's fine. There's another side to that ledger, Barrett. The other side to that ledger is it's only week 3 and they're going to get better at things. They're going to improve at things. Like, I'll give you an example yesterday. The Eagles have been a very penalized team the first 2 weeks. That's not acceptable. Yesterday, 5 for 15 yards.
5 for 15.
They cleaned it up, like much better than what it had been. So, and we saw that early last year. They had a lot of penalties and they started to clean it up. So that's coaching, you know.
That's absolutely coaching.
Yeah,
absolutely
you're teaching
coaching
these guys better. So
absolutely.
By the way, Barrett, the Eagles, you know, you go from 3 sacks the first 2 games to 9 yesterday. Like I know you're not going to get 9 every week, but that's another thing that's interesting. 6 of the first 11 Washington dropbacks resulted in a sack. Like they just came out of the gate firing, man.
Exactly. And I mean, even look at the stream. Dan Brito. He said, hold on, where's it at? I mean, he made a great point that the ball is getting distributed equally. He's not just going out and just throwing to AJ Brown.
The notion that it was all going to be AJ Brown.
Right. No, he's throwing to everybody. You know, Calcaterra had a catch.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You know,
Quez had a big pass interference, like that would, like you said, that
was like a 60-yard
It's a
that was
huge
a
play.
touchdown.
Yeah, it's a huge play. Huge play.
But how many times did he run? We talked about him always wanting to run. He went through the progressions of the offense.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't run a lot. He didn't even score a running touchdown.
Absolutely. Correct. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. There's a lot of ways they can hurt you, man. There's a lot of ways, and we've seen it. I mean, Jalen becomes the first player in NFL history to average 300 yards passing, 50 rushing through 3 games. Nope, not even Lamar Jackson's done that. So, pretty rarefied air, man. And you got to be encouraged. Here's one other one, and we'll tackle the defense in a second, but let me just throw it out there right now. Jordan Davis generated a pass rush on 4 of the 14 pass attempts he was in there for, right? I mean, that's pretty good. He played 24 total snaps, 31%, not a ton, but 4 of the 14 that he's in there where we're told all he can do is handle the run. He had a pass batted down. He had a near sack, which caused the sack.
Yep.
And he had 2 other plays where he had a nice push up the middle. So he looks like he's, it's a slow process, but it looks like he's getting better too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's a lot to be excited about, man. All right, let's get a timeout. We're getting Derek's internet straightened out. We will have that straightened out as well. Let's keep cranking, man. We'll keep going with the birds. We'll dive into the NFL and everything that went down around the NFL because there were some wild ones every single week. It never disappoints. But we'll talk about some of the big games around the NFL as well. But we come back, we'll focus a little bit more on the defense and just the whole notion of this team, kind of being a little bit different here and the Batman capes and all the other stuff that they're doing right now. We'll dig into all of that when we get back. Don't go anywhere. He's Barrett Brooks. I am Rob Ellis. Derek will be back with us pretty soon. All right, time for Pro Action Restoration because Pro Action Restoration, they're unbelievable. I can tell you this, firsthand. I had an issue at my parents' house years back. I called them on a Saturday. They got right over there. I had water damage in the basement. They came over. They fixed the problem. They cleaned it all up. The crew was unreal, and the price was reasonable. Here's the other thing. They're licensed, bonded, fully insured, and they've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. ProAction will work in conjunction with your insurance company. So it could be any number of things: water, fire, smoke damage, mold remediation to a home or a property that you may own. If that's the case, they're the people that you call. They can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or you can reach out online at proactionrestoration.com, proactionrestoration.com.